Maine's beer scene has skyrocketed over the last several years, with over 100 unique brands creating a thriving industry all surrounding this delicious beverage. And with it comes a whole ecosystem, from hop farms to using spent grain for animal feed. So come with me as we take a deep dive into the beer scene on this episode of WeGo.
WeGo is brought to you by Visit Maine and Baxter Brewing. First stop on our beer journey is the Hop Yard in Gorham, Maine, which sits on a farm that has been in the same family longer than Maine has been a state. And it's the perfect spot to grow Maine hops.
My buddy Jeff and I were both home brewers. Started to use some fresh hops once in a while. While I wasn't farming in life then, I did have a history in farming, so over a couple of beers one day, we came up with this idea that we should grow some hops. We've got a crew that comes each day. As you saw right now, we're sort of in maintenance mode of the summer, so the plants are back, they're growing. We're really just doing the tasks that are needed to keep those things healthy and get them going taller and taller.
Carolyn then joins Terry for a little stroll down Hop Alley to get to know more about our green friend.
So a hop is a flower. Yeah.
Oh.
So a hop is a flower, and they grow on these. And this is a sidearm. So as this plant grows up, they're gonna have sidearms that come out, and all of these little junctions are gonna have big clusters of hop cones. And they look like this, similar. And inside of it is an oil called lupulin, and that creates aroma and flavor.
So what are some of the challenges of growing hops in Maine?
Well, there's a few. We have a shorter growing season than the Pacific Northwest, which is where most of the hops are grown. Pest management can be an issue too. We have some pests here that they don't have in the Pacific Northwest.
Like?
The Eastern European corn borer being one of them.
Oh, of course, the Eastern European corn borer. Yep, we're good friends. We go way back.
You know all about them. And then these plants are perennial, so they come back every year. This field was planted in 2013, and so these plants are the original planting from 2013. The whole plant gets cut down at harvest, and it resprouts in the spring.
Wow.
And then the whole work starts over again.
Following the life cycle of the hop, we go from the farm to the brewery, where Carolyn does her best to lend a hand making some of Maine's best tasting beer with the team at Baxter Brewing.
So we're brewing Stowaway today. So we have our specialty malts, which is our Crystal 40. We have some Carapils. That'll be primarily for color, give us some roast characteristics of the beer. And we have flaked wheat, which will just help with head retention in the beer. You have your oats and your rolled oats, your flaked wheat. You got wheat, your barley, and we also have Munich and two-row pale, which just help to get us our sugar content.
In case you can't tell by Carolyn's face, brewing is hard and confusing. It turns out that there's a lot of science behind it all. I'll do my best to boil it down for you. We head into the labyrinth that is the brewery, where the first step is adding the grain we just milled. It steeps in hot water, converting the starches to simple sugar, creating the wort. He adds gypsum to harden the water, then adds the hops to the kettle for aromas and bitterness. Then, later down the line, the yeast is added to eat the sugars and burp out the CO2. And that's how beer is made.
How long have you been brewing?
I've been in the industry for 13 years.
Oh my God!
Yeah. I've been here for 3 years.
Okay. And do you do the same thing every day?
Every day, same thing.
Just
I come in, make sugar water, and sweat my butt off.
After we add yeast, it will take about 2 weeks to ferment and make beer, which is exactly how long this Go For It Triple IPA has been sitting. Now it's ready to be canned and distributed to thirsty Mainers.
And it comes through these tubes from the actual brewery?
Yep, from the brewery, yep. So this is the packaging hall. You can see these tanks, those are our bright tanks, that's our bright beer cellar.
So how many cans do you all do a day?
That is a great question. How many cans do you do a day, Andrew? 16,000 on average.
18,000!
Thank you, Cordell.
What do you love about brewing?
Oh, geez. The beer.
That's a good answer.
And I mean, really, there's a lot of problems to solve, and the problem solving, and then the beer. Maybe both. Same.
In tandem, that's a good answer. Yeah.
Now, the third part of this whole process is really cool. The spent grains that we use to make the wort are beginning their second life. Every day, a local farmer comes to the brewery to pick it up and use it as feed for his cattle. So we followed him to the farm to say hello to all the cows and learn how they help recycle, reduce, and reuse by eating their way through the grain.
Like, see how they sort? See how the cows are using their noses to push the feed away, and they want to get to the grain at the bottom. And when the brew grain's in there, it makes it stick to the corn and the grass, and I think they eat it better. So if these cows are on spent grain, they'll make about 500 more pounds of milk a day.
So we get the spent grain, that stays local. Our cows are from here, and then they make milk that stays local as well. So
Well,
it's
you
all
think
Maine.
the brewery is 3 miles from here. So, and then the dairy is what, half an hour?
Wow, Maine
So
made.
that's right. It doesn't, the circle's not too big.
Now back to the brewery where we can put the final touch on the day. So Caitlin came to help out and brought some delicious Baxter brews over and walked Carolyn through each flavor.
Spending some time today learning about hops, learning about malts, learning about grains, learning about sprouts. We didn't learn about sprouts, did we? And so can you talk to me a little bit about the science behind this? Like what gives it more flavor? What gives it more of an aroma? What gives it more like sugar stuff?
Oh, gotcha. Well, I would say it's definitely that's a loaded question, and it can vary by the beer, I'm sure, as you found out today. These beers here, I would say their flavor is definitely dependent on their ingredients, starting with Coastal Haze. That is definitely a hop-forward flavor profile, so generally hop, you would think like your citrusy flavors, your fruit flavors often, but not always, come from hops. This one is our red IPA. You can immediately tell from the color, it's red, that there's definitely a malt flavor in there. And this is the out of range, so it's brewed with the blueberry flavor in it, Maine blueberries, and that is definitely your summer drink. I would say it's our #1 seller here in the summer.
Well, you know, we've been out on the farm, we met our cow friends, we saw how everything was packaged and put together, we put all the ingredients into that masher thingy, and now we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Wow, you did that all today.
You know, girlfriend, we gotta hop to it. We'll see y'all next time.
Awesome. Cheers.